What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Tyrant's Mythic difficulty guide for Halo 3. Today we are doing the Covenant, and that is legendary all skulls on. Today we're going to take this Spartan laser and destroy these two shade turrets first off. Go ahead and nuke that brute right there. That usually causes his grunt buddies to go crazy. Any of the survivors, anyway. Oh, jeez. Run, run. Now, it should be noted that on Mythic difficulty, thanks to the Skulls Mythic and Tilt, you do have a slight health boost. So you aren't completely screwed. There's the Chieftain right there. Next to the Anti-Air Wraith. We're going to simply just walk around this battle. That's right, you can avoid this battle entirely. Typically, though, I like to engage that first brute just to grab his bubble shield. That combat condom. Now, this is sort of the longest part of the mission right here. That's why I like to go ahead and just deal with this Spartan laser. Use it to my advantage, because you're about to go for a long hike. Nice long trip through the mountains. The Grizzly Hills of the Ark. Now, I do want to take a moment to thank my good buddy Jackal Cinema for donating $100 to the Shrine Project. Thank you so much for your very generous donation, helping us get this project started. This video, my friend, is dedicated to you. We have officially made 10% of our goal. We still need to reach $10,000 by August 31st, so we have $9,000 to go. Remember, this Shrine Project is for you guys, the viewers. Jump up here. Please help us in any way that you can, and help us be a part of MythicTyrant.com history. Now, as you can see, when we made our way around that first battle, none of the enemies have spawned here. Now, they will be back when we return from the first tower. But for right now, we have a very easy trip. So you can just sit back and enjoy the scenery.
Hostile anti-air has been neutralized.
Hold position. I'm on my way. Shipmaster, begin diversionary bombardment.
I will beat the Prophet's shield like a drum. By the time the barrier falls, he will beg for mercy.
Yeah. There's definitely a dirty joke there, but I'm not going to touch it. I shall beat the Prophet's shield like a drum. I'll take the rapist for 200, Trebek. So first we want to go ahead and steal this ghost over here. By the way, it does not hurt to get a beam rifle as well. So you want to enter Tower 1 with a beam rifle and a battle rifle. Now, I like to go ahead and snipe this turret guy, but typically someone's going to replace him anyway, unless you're really, really quick. So hop into this ghost, and we're going to rush this tower right here. Avoid the Wraith. Try to avoid the shades as best you can, and come up on the left-hand side. I had to think about that for a second there. Of the tower, wait for the two prowlers to leave. These are your biggest obstacles. And once you hear them, drop down slowly on the side, ram the turret, and quickly make your way over here to grab the active camouflage. Now, the bubble shield is going to protect you from any enemies that would have followed you. So around here, use the active camo. We're going to crouch jump onto these crates, and crouch jump again to this ledge to skip all of the enemies in this area. Activate the elevator. If they're running, you can melee one of these guys to get your shields back, because remember, Black Eye Skull, you cannot recharge your shields automatically. You need to melee an enemy to get them back. So we are ascending this tower right here. We have one regular brute chieftain with a hammer, and we have 2 brute miners and 2 brute captains. So we're going to use a plasma pistol. There are 2 full ones in that crate right there. And noob combo these 2 because they're going to charge forward. The other 2 brutes, the captains, are going to hang back. These guys have brute shots, so you want to be careful. This is where our beam rifle comes in handy. Now, you want to leave one of them alive. And you want to kill him in front of that glass barrier right there. Because what's going to happen is if you kill him behind the glass barrier, that chieftain's going to activate his invincibility, if he has it. Sometimes he has a flare. So my advice is to knock out his shields, causing him to charge, then run in front of the glass barrier to finish him off. That way you can snag that invincibility to use later. Also, it should be noted that killing one of these chieftains becomes far more difficult after they use their invincibility because of the types of jumps that they use. He's trying to hide, but it didn't work. Come on, buddy. Who's your buddy? Alright, so his shields are down. Run forward. Watch out for that jump because it's an instant kill. We headshotted him. Fortunately in front of the barrier, so we should get a short jump here. When the chieftain jumps, sidestep, and easy assassination.
Chief, find the tower
Deactivate the first tower.
Good work, Chief. That's
Grab
one.
the invincibility.
The arbiter should be just about to... That's two. It's all up to Johnson's team now.
And descend. Now, since we did not kill the enemies the first time around, they're going to all be gathered in front of the door. Now, it is entirely possible to use your invincibility here to run past them if you're going for a speed run, but I highly recommend you use it for Tower 3 instead, since the situation there gets a little bit more intense. These enemies are pretty easy to kill. They're not going to leave this area, and you've got plenty of ammunition. You've got 2 crates full of carbine ammo. You've got 2 brutes to deal with over there, 2 marksman jackals, a bunch of regular shielded jackals, and a crap ton of grunts. Whoa, whoa. One of our marines is still alive. Maybe we'll get lucky. The catch skull and the mythic skull affect them as well, so they do have higher health. Of course, he didn't last too long. But they also throw lots of grenades. This can work to your disadvantage. Now, we're going to walk back here for a second because 3 grunts spawn behind this door. See, they're trying to be sneaky. There we go. And you do not want them catching you off guard. Now, here's one of your carbine crates right here. So, again, just take your time here. There's no real rush. You've got plenty of ammo. The enemies will not advance. They're all just sort of guarding the exit. Now we're going to try to trick combo this brute here. Now check this out. If you fire off your overcharge shot and duck back into cover, he won't try to dodge it. See? Oh, you dick. Stupid jackal tried to overcharge me. But anyway, this technique with the brutes is called trick shooting. And I missed. Let's try this again. Alright, now check this out. We're going to shoot him again. And we got him. Now again, if you duck back into cover, he won't try to dodge. Much like range shooting, where you're shooting him out of their line of sight. Brutes in Halo 3 are amazingly stupid. Now, surprisingly, this does not work with Halo 3 ODST, even though it does use pretty much the same engine. Our next main priority when the brutes are down, which I believe there's still one left, are these marksman jackals right here. Because they will slowly pick at your shields. If you have no shields, which I believe we don't at the moment because of that stupid jackal, they can get a lucky headshot off of you. Now we have a bunch of jackals just kind of hanging out over here. Now it should be noted that in Halo 3 and in Halo 3 only, if you see a jackal using an overcharge, or just holding his overcharge in place and not actually firing it off, eventually his plasma pistol will deplete and he will not be able to use his weapon from here on out. If you notice, they're not shooting at me right now, which means their weapons are probably depleted. If you're using the black guy skull, this is fantastic because it's basically free shields. I call these guys pet jackals because they can't attack you. They can only grunt and follow you around. Now we have more carbine ammo over here. There is a power drain as well if you want to use that. At best, it's going to help you knock out the brute shields. as well as the jackals. Personally, I like mid-range combat, so I'm just going to stand here and take out the rest of these guys. And the grunts are fairly easy because that grunt birthday party skull actually does generate a small explosion. So if there are any plasma grenades near the grunt when his head explodes, they also detonate. It's pretty freaking awesome. The grunts at this point are my main concern. When they have the catch skull activated, they can be devastatingly powerful. I'll tell you, the first time I learned this was Sierra 117, and I will not forget it. I cried. It was that bad. So we have 4 jackals left at this point. They can't shoot, from what I can tell. It's hard to tell from this range just because they won't really shoot their plasma pistols at you anyway, except for overcharge shots. But check this out. See, they're not even bothering to shoot. But there is a grunt back there from what I can tell. And a little chain reaction just went off. That grunt was pretty smart, not gonna lie. So now we just have these 3 guys here. I'm trying to be careful because there's a lot of loose plasma grenades back there. So I'm gonna grab my shields. Gonna finish these guys off because Tyrant's motto is leave no man or lizard creature behind. 1 plasma pistol overcharge will usually cause them to turn and run in the other direction. And like I said, as you can see, they're not shooting at me at all. So here you want to load up on ammunition. Load up on as many grenades as you can because you're going to need them for Tower 3. Fill up on carbine ammo. And grab the most full plasma pistol that you can find. Generally speaking, plasma pistols with famine activated are going to hold a maximum of 3 overcharge shots. Do not bother dual wielding here because you won't really have the opportunity to use it. Oh, completely forgot about that plasma pistol. I thought I saw a crate outside, but I couldn't remember. Now we're going to take the mongoose down to the beach. Now, like I said, the enemies were despawned on the trek up to the tower, but they're going to be there on our way down. Now, it's no big worry because we're on a mongoose. We can easily just speed past them. Just be aware that they're there. Drive fast and low. Just the way your mother likes it, Trebek. Right around this corner, as you can see, the enemies are there this time. That includes the shade turret. Just keep on going, and we're going to approach the Hornet. Now, the intended method for this battle is a dogfight, where you're going to be fighting Banshees, a Phantom, and an anti-air raid. But I'm going to show you how to rush this battle so you can avoid it entirely. It definitely helps speed up your run a little bit. Makes things a little less complicated. It's a little bit tricky at the end. But basically, to pull this off, you want to hang towards the outside as far as you can go and low. Now, to help avoid fire from the Phantoms, particularly the fuel rod guns from the Banshees, move to the side over here. It throws them off course just a little bit. Now, once Tower 3 is in sight, you're going to want to start to ascend. You're going to want to land on the left-hand side. And the reason I say that is because brutes are going to exit the door, and typically when that asshole tried to shoot a fuel rod gun at me, and that rate's going to fall. When the brutes exit the door, they're going to typically head to our right. So there's only going to be 1 or 2 here, as opposed to the other half dozen on the other side. So it's a little bit easier. We're going to noob combo these guys, combo kill them. Try to stay towards the inside as much as possible so that you can avoid the Wraith in case it did not, you know, be stupid and just drive itself off the cliff. You have 2 hunters in here and a bunch of drones. My recommendation is head over to the right-hand side here. Fragmentation grenades and spike grenades are very useful here. The drones are going to bunch up, and it's very easy to take them all out at one time. If you want to take the hunters out here, you can. It does make the return trip a little bit easier, but you don't have to. And we're going to skip them here altogether. I'm going to show you a little bit of a shortcut. You're going to skip the hunters and the brutes. Like with the first instance, on Tower 1, they will be here when you descend. That includes the new enemies as well. So just be aware, if you don't kill them now, you'll be dealing with them later. But that's why we brought our invincibility along. Your invincibility really will come in handy here. So we're going to crouch jump to this little ledge right here. This is a difficult jump. It's probably one of the hardest ones in the game. But you basically want to crouch jump to this ledge and bounce off into this little cubby right here and onto the elevator to bypass all those enemies. Now, Tower 3 is a little bit trickier. Up top we have 4 brute stalkers and a war chieftain. War chieftains have more health. This particular guy has a plasma cannon. And all we have with us right now is a carbine and a plasma pistol. Now check this out. I'm going to show you a really neat trick. Now once you've downed their armor, they're going to jump at you and they're going to try to hit you through the glass. But guess what? You can hit them through the glass. It takes 4 melees to kill an unshielded brute. So just kind of dance with them a little bit. This is the easiest way to kill these guys, and you have full shields for when you engage the war chieftain. So melee, back up, melee, back up, melee, back up, melee, finish him off. And there's 4 of these guys total. They all have plasma rifles and also flame grenades. Melee, back up, melee, back up, melee, melee. We're still trying to draw the final one out. And this guy's not falling for it. So we'll let him do his little jump, get an easy assassination. We have full shields at this point. I'm going to grab this full plasma pistol over here. And the best way to get this guy, if you don't have a heavy weapon, is to engage him in melee combat. So check this out. We need to make this quick. We need to get up close and personal, and you need to get behind him. Here's where it starts getting really tricky. Oh, shoot, he dropped the flare. Move around, move around. And we got the assassination. Fantastic. That is Tower 3. Now, just a little tip here. If you move the weapons away from the bodies, when the flood arrive and the infection forms start infecting the corpses, they will not have anything to pick up. So, aside from the ones that already have weapons, you'll be basically dealing with melee forms. Or I should say unarmed flood. Now this is one place where dual wielding does come in handy because you don't have to weapon juggle. You can just pick one up with your secondary hand. Use that secondary hand besides what you're thinking of. Fill up on grenades. We should have one more plasma rifle over here somewhere because there were 4 brutes. There it is. Pick it up. Way up. Drop it over here, and when you're ready and everything is clear, you're going to deactivate Tower 3. So we're just doing one more preliminary check. Keeping our weapons away at the moment. I prefer starting this with a plasma rifle rather than a plasma pistol. And deactivate the tower. Now, I will say the bright side of using a plasma pistol is doing what I like to call plasma punching for elites. Now, the reason I start this particular section off with the plasma rifle is because of all of the infection forms. I prefer to engage the Flood in melee combat as long as they don't have energy swords or gravity hammers. Well, to be honest with you, I think it's just energy swords. Because that pretty much guarantees full shield. So Flood levels can actually be very beneficial to you on Mythic difficulty. Keep in mind, on Mythic difficulty, unlike Lazo, requires blind and no saving and quitting. Shame on you. So we're grabbing a plasma pistol here for our return trip down, just in case we need it. Killing this last Flood combat form just so I have full shields.
Shipmaster, what's your
When you
status?
get to the bottom, all of the Covenant that you skipped on the way up will still be there, but this time they'll be engaging the Flood.
Stay away from the Flood.
You can use this to your advantage to escape from the tower. My recommendation is you start on the left-hand side, observe your situation, see if we can get this guy. He's just kind of standing there looking at the glass. Come here. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Run quickly through this door and wait as long as you can. Right about here is when you want to activate your invincibility, because stuff really starts to get real outside when you have all those brutes engaging all of these Flood combat forms. These are all the enemies that we skipped earlier. Oh, shoot. Did not plan on him deploying that combat condom. And now we have a Scorpion tank. Jump on board. I highly recommend waiting for your Marines to join you. At least one of these guys has a rocket launcher. It will definitely help you. You've got quite an adventure ahead of you. So load up. We do have a Gauss Hog to help us out as well. There we go. Load up Marines. Let's give them hell. Now, in most cases, your vehicles are going to go ahead of you. They do not always do this, so be aware of the enemies that you're going to face. This first wave will include one Prowler, one War Chieftain with the Fuel Rod gun, and several Brutes. The Prowler and the Chieftain are your biggest threat. The Prowler will come first. That's what she said. And it should be noted that every time you think you've taken a lot of damage, you can jump out of the tank, you will briefly see yourself in third person, and you can check whether or not you still have shields. There's the Chieftain over there. Keep moving. Try to dodge the fuel rod shots as best you can. I do not know where our Gauss Hog is right now, or the Mongoose for that matter. See, we're going to check our shields real quick. So far, so good. This next bit, we have another Brute with a fuel rod gun. We have a Shade Turret and a couple of Ghosts. The Ghosts will advance on your location. The rest of these guys are just going to hang back, letting you kill them, letting you shell them with tungsten. Sweet, sweet, smooth tungsten. So just take your time, shoot them from a distance. You can kamikaze this area in the Gauss Hog. But it's a real coin toss, and since this is towards the end of the mission, you probably do not want to take that risk at this point. Here come the Ghosts. Your rocket dude will definitely help you out a little bit. Now in this next bit, you're going to have kind of a U-shaped area where you have 2 Shade Turrets. You're going to have 2 Prowlers and 2 Ghosts come from the bend over there. There's the first Shade. Here comes the first Prowler. Making his way across. And my Marine shooting at a wall. Good job, buddy. Too little, too late. Here come the 2 Ghosts. They're not making a huge effort here. They're really easy to get with the tank. And it looks like our second Prowler is sort of stuck on the bottom floor right over there. He's sort of humping the rock. I'm not really sure what's going on. It's like a little brute orgy. Ah, don't even think about it. No inappropriate touching. Oh, now he's hiding. Okay. I see how it is. Get back here. Come on. You know you want to. No, he's finally up. Oh, God, he went back in. Oh, that came out wrong. I'm trying not to get too close so we don't get completely pummeled by those plasma cannons. See if we can get him right here, since he's not really moving at this point. Maybe he lost his driver. Oh, there we go. Back in the game. And he's doing that thing again. You know, it's amazing. These trees are completely bulletproof. I really think that they should consider making ships and tanks out of those things. Seriously, I could shoot that thing all day and nothing will happen to it. We have one shade turret left. God. It should be noted that with the blind skull activated, when you're in a vehicle, the reticle is in a different place as opposed to when you're just using a regular weapon. When you're using a regular weapon, your reticle is about an inch below the center of the screen. When you're in a vehicle such as a tank, your reticle is in the dead center of the screen. So for those of you who are trying to figure out how to shoot with blind activated, that is how I do it. Basically, it's just knowing where the reticles are. It's just about getting used to it. The reticles do not move ever. Now, I recommend going through this tunnel right here. There is a fuel rod gun there if you want to arm your Marines with it. There is a Wraith on the other side that is scripted. It only shoots in a couple of different spots. It does not target you specifically, but if you walk into its field of fire, you will feel its wrath. You will feel the wrath of the Wraith. So just sit here, take it out. Take out the shade turret as well. There is another brute over there with a fuel rod gun. Make sure you deal with him because he's really the only other enemy besides the Wraith that is a serious threat. Now, just because we destroyed the tower doesn't mean we destroyed him. So just kind of keep an eye out. That might be him right there, or one of those other angry monkeys. That'd be a fun iPhone game. And we almost got this. One more. He's sort of hiding behind the dead Wraith. Trying to play it smart. There we go. Now, there is a gap right there just beyond the Wraith, so I highly recommend taking the route to the right over here. I have fallen off the cliff before, shamefully. That is not a way you want to die on Mythic. Now here's where things start getting really interesting. Our 2 Hornets will land to take on not 1, but 2 Covenant Scarabs. Biggest boss battle of all time. My first recommendation is that since this Marine jumps out of his Hornet, push him off the cliff because you may want to use the second Hornet later to board the surviving Scarab. This guy does not jump out of his Hornet, but if you decide to take his place, he will jump on the side, leaving the other Hornet completely vacant and empty. Now these 2 Scarabs are going to drop. Try not to get hit by your friendlies there. Jump onto the Scarab, onto the back left leg, and you're right in front of the core. This is really easy to take out. All you need to do is melee it. Go for the worms. You'll get your shields back if you have any. Now jump off. Now be careful here because there are Covenant all around the area. And ghosts, prowlers, not to mention there may be someone on the back with the cannon, and there are chieftains on each of the Scarabs with fuel rod guns. So just be very careful. First Scarab is down. Love the bright blue light.
First Scarab's down. All units,
it's amazing I haven't had more near-death experiences. So at this point you want to make your way back up to the cliff. Up there we have our second Hornet and tank. Try not to be killed by the Scarab. The second Scarab is typically distracted by the Pelican, although it looks like we're kind of lucking out here and he's facing his ass towards us. No, I did not mean that in a sick way. By the way, watch out for your oh god, nope. I was going to say, watch out for your allies here. They get a little bit too eager for Chief to drive, and they get to the point where they will even run you down. They are just that desperate. Now the second scarab can be a little bit trickier. There are two ways to take him out. You can either take him out from a distance with the tank, if he's turned around, or if he's not turned around, you can take out the enemies on board the scarab with the tank from a distance, and then board the scarab itself with the hornet, as you saw in my legendary video. Now it looks like we're lucking out here, because even though the pelican is not shooting, the scarab is completely focused on it. That pelican has amazing amazing resilience to that scarab's anti-air gun. That's a bit shameful. I would not recommend going below. You've got banshees in the air, you've got ghosts and prowlers on the ground. It is a complete slugfest. So at this point, since the scarab is remarkably turned around at this point, we're going to try and just shoot its rear off. This is one way to deal with the scarab, is just shooting the core with a heavy weapon. He's completely ignoring me right now. I don't even know, this doesn't happen very often. Again, if he doesn't do this, just simply use the tank to kill all the enemies, but especially the chieftain, and then board him with the hornet. And then get as far away as you can. Of course, now he's trying to turn around as I'm trying to get the core. Blind, you wretched skull, you. Okay, it looks like we knocked off the shielding, so we just need to get one more shot in there. If I can just aim. Come on. There we go. Second scarab is down. This is definitely one of the hardest battles in the game. Watch this thing light up. There we go. Beautiful.
Both scarabs down. Well done. Marines, kill the stragglers.
Now, the great thing about taking the scarab out from here is we have a clear shot at this point to the citadel. I can't tell if these banshees are going to get frisky or not. Looks like they're okay so far. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump into the hornet and just fly to where the Arbiter and 343 Guilty Spark are located. This is one of the few places where I have seen him use his laser outside of Halo, and thank God it's not on me. Arbiter standing here looking badass with his energy sword, posing for the camera, looking pretty, just like I do.
The flood scales the citadel's far wall. Activate this bridge oracle. The prophet will die by my hands, not theirs.
Calamity! If only we had more time.
Oh, Guilty Spark, you just lost your man card. With the light bridge activated, walk through the door. You're going to trigger another cutscene. Now again, at this point, you should have a carbine and a plasma pistol. Wait, no! Go away!
It asked, and I answered.
For
a moment of safety.
That's it. No more ecstasy before battle. Ever.
The stars.
My faithful, stand firm.
Cutscene triggered. Long story short, Miranda Keys is dead. Okay, moving on. So now you have to get to the control panel before the Prophet of Truth activates the Halo array. You have two main sections to worry about. The third one has no enemies at all. This first one right here has grunts and jackals in the foreground. There are two grunts with fuel rod guns standing in the back along with a brute captain. The grunts with the fuel rod guns are the most dangerous ones. This is why we brought our carbine with us. And be aware of the catch skull. Unfortunately, since Arbiter likes to play Foursquare right here, sometimes they will chuck plasma grenades at him, miss, and then hit you inadvertently. So Arbiter can work against you here just slightly. Best case scenario, he loses the plasma rifle, whips out his energy sword, and just starts tearing everybody up. I have seen Arbiter single-handedly take out this entire bridge. And it was amazing. He does not do it very well with the plasma rifle, however. Here he goes, whipping out that sword. You can encourage him to use his sword by taking down his shields. Oh, he's going nuts now. Quick, everybody. Hide your kids. Hide your wife. Because he's raping everybody up in here. And he pretty much just single-handedly whooped everyone's ass here. That's awesome. Thank you, Arbiter. When a Brute's armor is down, your Flood allies, by the way, this is the only place in the series where the Flood are on your side, willingly, will infect the Brute. Pretty awesome. Now, jump on top of this crate, avoid the 2 grunts with the fuel rod guns that are going to emerge from the door below. You want to take care of these guys. Again, try not to become a victim of those deadly fuel rod guns. And Arbiter just drop-kicked his ass. Okay, so this part is the complicated one. You've got several Brutes here. You have a Brute Chieftain. Oh, they put double combat condom. Double bubble. So, as you can see, you've got a line of Brute jump jet Brutes over there on the far side. They're going to engage you in combat. Standing up here gives you the best vantage point for dealing with the Brutes below. There are so many Brutes in this section. It is unbelievable. Plus, you've got the Brute Chieftain with the hammer. He typically has invincibility. It's really hard to get the standard assassination off of him because the Flood infection forms usually cause him to go a little bit crazy. And he gets a little unpredictable with that hammer. So again, you use the distance to your advantage. This is range shooting right here where they will not move. Check this out. So we're using both forms of plasma pistol trickery in this mission because they are basically out of line of sight. They cannot see you, and so they're just sort of walking around right now. It's too bad you can't hit the other ones from here. Unfortunately, the plasma pistol overcharge will deplete itself before reaching the other zone. So you want to trigger the jump jet Brutes to fly towards your location. They're typically armed with carbines, some with spikers. We're going to jump back up here, see how much of this we can pull yet again. Be very wary of the Brutes with carbines because, yes, again, they're going to do the most damage to your shields. Arbiter and the Flood will typically engage them fairly successfully. If you can manage to... Arbiter whipped out his shield, or his energy sword. Shit's about to get real. And he brought his plasma rifle back. Arbiter, you brain dead. Ugh. Now, I highly recommend killing the Brutes with carbines instead of simply letting the Flood infect them. That way you can actually use the carbines later. If the Flood infects the Brutes, their weapons will disappear. The only Brute I would recommend allowing to get infected at this point is either Brutes with Brute shots. Well, really the one you need to focus on is the Chieftain on the other side. By the way, those 2 grunts with fuel rod guns just jumped up, killed those guys because they're going to be a big threat to you otherwise. I have died many times by their hand. It looks like we only have 1 jump jet Brute left. You're probably wondering where I got that term from, too, because I hear a lot of people say jump pack Brute. For any of you who are Command & Conquer fans out there, jump jet infantry was introduced in Tiberian Sun, and every time I see enemies with jetpacks, I refer to them as jump jet. And to be honest with you, it sounds cooler than jet pack Brutes. Jet pack Brute sounds very unoriginal. So now, it looks like our Flood buddies are trying to engage the Brutes here. And we have more. Basically, you're going to have an infinite number of infection forms that just keep pouring out into this area, trying to help you out as best they can. Of course, the Flood are at their nastiest when they're against you, not against the entire Covenant. Don't understand the logic there entirely. You're basically fighting the full spectrum of Covenant here. and Flood. The only Flood that you're not fighting are the pure forms as of yet. Actually, I don't think you fight any pure forms in this mission at all. You just have the two that help you out. Okay, so it looks like we have one Brute Captain left, or a bodyguard, I can't tell, with the Progenerator activated. He doesn't have any armor at this point, so he should be pretty easy to kill. We've got our Flood allies. We've got the Arbiter. The only thing standing between us and deactivating that control panel at this point is the War Chieftain. Not the War Chieftain, the Brute Chieftain. The War Chieftain is the one with the plasma cannon. Or the fuel rod gun. Standard Brute Chieftains only wield hammers, and they typically have invincibility, with the rare exception of the Flare. Now, you do want to get this guy's shields down, because if you do, then the Flood can infect him. Now, when his armor is smoking like that, that means they're weak. This is, again, one of those instances where I do not recommend trying to sidestep and assassinate just because you have all your allies just charging him, and he becomes very hard to judge in terms of how to land that perfect jump, because he might swing in one direction and just completely take you off guard, and that gravity hammer is very powerful in this game. Far more powerful than the one in Halo Reach. So we're stocking up on as much ammo as we can. Again, carbine, plasma pistol, best way to combat this entire area. Definitely bring as much along as you possibly can. Arbiter's getting pissed now. He's got the sword, but he's just sort of standing there. Alright, finally. Brute Chieftain shields are down. Now he's running like a coward. All of his allies are toast. So now it should just be a matter of time before this guy gets infected. He doesn't look any different than the standard Brute Infection form. Or Brute Combat form. And yep, he's getting infected. And that takes care of all the enemies here. So now take the opportunity to go ahead and stock up on as much ammo as you can. Get all of your grenades. Stock up on carbine ammo, plasma pistol ammo. Plasma pistol ammo is great for plasma punching any elite combat forms for Flood. Carbine for everything else.
How far are we along the path?
Why couldn't the elite forms be on the previous battle? Now they're just completely useless. Now I highly recommend, if you want to play it safe, moving weapons away from the bodies of any fallen brutes. Just so that in case they're resurrected, they do not have any weapons to work with. Just like with Tower 3. I'm just going to throw him off the side here. Note that if Arbiter gets thrown off the side, he magically spawns in using his active camo. Now, why couldn't it have worked that way in Halo 2? Why could it have not worked that way in Halo 2? Now, when you're ready, activate the bridge, trigger the cutscene, and you have two elite forms immediately. This is where our plasma punching comes in handy. Again, watch out for the Arbiter and his sword here. He can kill you by accident. So we're going to help Arbiter out by plasma pistoling that elite shields down. You'll already have Flood up and running here. You'll have infection forms swarming the bridge, resurrecting the brute bodies. Apparently from the initial Flood assault. And then you're going to have additional flood charge out from the doorway, as well as the roof. You can headshot flood. Come on. Oh, nope. Almost. Alright, so here's our flood coming up from the roof, and then you have a final group that will emerge from the doorway, typically containing at least one human flood with a shotgun, as well as a couple of carrier forms. Now, as I was saying, you can headshot flood by shooting their chest cavity and killing the infection form that is keeping them up and running. These alien space zombies. There's our shotgun flood right there. He is down for the count. Well, that was our shotgun flood. I think the other one had an assault rifle. Oh, no. Try to take me off guard, I see. Now, what have I told you? What have I always told you? Tyrant does not like it from the rear. This was the easier of the three sections with the flood. Actually, the third one isn't that bad. The second one starts getting really complicated. Now, at this point, the Sentinels will move in to help you out. We have not had their help for a while. Very briefly in the arc. You're going to be dealing with a fair amount of elite flood here, but really it's the ones at the end that are going to cause you the biggest grief, because one of those guys has an energy sword. He can one-shot you very easily. So keep your eyes on him specifically. He is definitely a mission ender. We're going to plasma punch these guys. One of the most effective ways by far to deal with elite combat forms. Check this out. We're going to do it again. And the best part about plasma punching is you get your shields back. We're going to destroy the bodies so they cannot be resurrected, especially with elite forms. It's important. Now this door is going to open. There's the guy with the sword. And Arbiter just got wasted. So, start backing up a little bit. As I've always said with the flood, just make sure that they're all coming from one direction. You do not want your flood surrounding you. Here comes our sword dude. We're going to combo kill him because you do not want to plasma punch this guy. That's just suicide. Do not pick up the energy sword here. It's not necessary. It should be important to note that if you stick these carrier forms, when they explode, they will not release infection forms. So stick them, do not cause them to blow up in any other way. The third section, again, is not that bad, though you'll probably be running low on ammo at this point. And we're tripping again.
I'm a thief, but I keep what I steal.
First world problems. Okay, so at this point, all of your flood are going to come down from your exit. At this point, just take your time, hold back. You've got the Arbiter helping you, and you've got a whole fleet of Sentinels. Going to use the fuel rod gun just for the hell of it, to be honest with you. To be perfectly honest with you, it's one of my favorite guns, and we really won't get to use it much after this. So take advantage of it while you can. You've pretty much got the battle won at this point, unless you accidentally jump off the side. And then once you kill this guy, you can run up the ramp, down the elevator shaft, and you have finished the Covenant on Mythic difficulty. That is Legendary All Skulls on. Thank you so much for watching. Again, this is dedicated to Jackal Cinema for his Shrine donation. Please donate to the project if you can. Help us meet our goal by August 31st. Rate, comment, and subscribe for more Halo videos every week. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, I am the Tyrant, signing off.